next project. So for my next project, I finally purchased the Coneflower Celebration stamp set and dies. It is a bundle. This is in the annual catalog, and it's been on my wish list, and I finally got it in. Because you know what we're going to do with this? We're going to use two-tone cardstock because I love two-tone cardstock. And this is a really fun project to use two-tone cardstock on. So I've got a bunch of stamps here out of the set that we're going to be using. So let me get those out of my bucket. Lots and lots. We've got a few ink colors. So I wanted to use Pretty in Pink for my flower because I have Pretty in Pink two-tone cardstock. I don't have every color yet. I am slowly adding to my collection to get them all, but I didn't have every color. So I decided to go with Pretty in Pink. And so I pulled out my handy dandy color coach, and I decided to see what colors go with Pretty in Pink. I have two cards, one from this year, one from last year. And when I immediately turned to this card and I saw Pretty in Pink, Old Olive, and Misty Moonlight, I was very intrigued. And so I thought, let's see what we can do with those colors. And I think I came up with a pretty good card. So those are the colors that we're going to be using for the Coneflower Celebration. I also pulled in this paper. This is a carryover paper. It's called the Regal Distressed Patterns. And as you can see, we've got a white piece with some gold plaid. We've got a pretty peacock piece with some gold leaves. And then we've got a kind of cherry cobbler piece with a different kind of plaid. So I'm using this white piece here, and I cut a chunk out of that. And my chunk is 3 3/4 by 5.5. So I've got a Misty Moonlight card base. And then I cut this piece to go on to the front. So that's going to be kind of our design in the background, is that fabulous designer series paper. I've got a 4 by 5.25 inch piece for the inside. And then we have some die cut things here, but I'll do some stamping and some die cutting. Let me get my paper. So here is my Pretty in Pink paper. And so we are going to take out a fairly large piece. And I am going to stamp on the light side. So here is where my paper is. I'm going to stamp on this side, and I am going to bring in my foam mat because this stamp that I'm going to use is photopolymer. As you can see, it is a very large photopolymer stamp, and we're going to use the Pretty in Pink ink. Get that out of there. And I am going to ink this up with my Pretty in Pink ink pad. Again, this is the light side of the two-tone cardstock. This is the dark side. Okay, so I am stamping on the light side, and I'm going to stamp down here at the bottom of this piece. And so here we have our beautiful Coneflower. Now, the die in this set is kind of like a twofer. So it's like to make a folded, so you can fold it over. So what you want to do is one side will go over the piece perfectly, the other side will not. So you can see if you try to stick this one on here, it does not line up down here on the petals. So you definitely know then you need to flip it around, and then it will fit really nicely. So what you're going to end up getting is this. So you're going to get a piece that has your stamped flower, and then you're going to have, oh my gosh, there goes my phone again. It just gleeked out on me. So here's what you get. And then there's the fold line, you fold it in half, but I'm going to force it to fold a little farther than the fold line so that I'm going to get a little bit of the dark down here at the bottom. So this is the light side, this is the dark side. So there's just a little bit of contrast there using that two-tone cardstock, which is really fun. Okay, so I'm going to kind of score that. Now, if you want this to kind of stay open a little bit, you can take a dimensional. Where are my dimensionals? Here we go. And we can stick a dimensional in here, and we can close that, and then you can see it looks a little more 3D that way. That dimensional kind of keeps that open, so it gives it just a little bit more interest. And we have a couple of leaf stamps here. So now we have some regular Old Olive cardstock, and there's two leaf pieces. So there's one, and there is two. And then we would then die cut those. And so I have those right there. And then we also need a stem. So let's go ahead and ink up the stem. And we can put that over here. We don't need the whole stem. So if we don't get the whole stem on this piece, it's going to be fine because we don't need the whole piece. So you can see I didn't get the whole thing in there. But here I did die cut it, and here it is at the end where I didn't get the whole thing, but it's going to be totally fine. Okay, so now we have our leaves and our stem and our flower. We also need a butterfly. There's a cute butterfly in the set, and we're going to go with Misty Moonlight ink on Misty Moonlight cardstock. And after it does dry all the way, it will look like this. It did dry, so I've got my butterfly. I'm going to set this one aside. There is this really cool loop die. Look what that does. How cool is that? We're going to use this under our sentiment. So this is out of crumb cake. And then finally, we have this piece here that is like the top of the flower. And this is out of crumb cake. And so you can see that it does die cut some little sections here that you can kind of pop out with your thumb if you want to. And I think I will. I did stamp this piece one time first with this little speckle. I did it in crumb cake ink on this crumb cake piece. And so I am still working on getting those little, I don't know what you call them, just part of the flower middle, getting some of those to come popped out of here, just to add a little more dimension to the whole thing. All right, so that's fun. So that I think I am going to stick on here just because I need it to have some contrast of color. But I think we're going to leave off the other piece. We'll see when we get to the assembling of everything, which I think we are just about there because we have all the pieces that we need. So we're going to bring this in. I'm not going to glue it down just yet. We're going to go ahead and assemble everything. So here's our flower that I had envisioned of being something like that with my butterfly up here. Oh, we need the top of our flower. And we'll get that on so it looks right. And then we're going to have a butterfly. And then we're going to have our stem come down. You can see that's why it didn't matter if we didn't have the whole stem. And then we've got a leaf on that side and a leaf on that side. So that's basically what we're going to have, is this beautiful flower on here. So now that's how that looks. If we add this, just for show, we'll just show you what it looks like. We don't have to do it if we decide it looks terrible. It does give an added layer to the flower. It does give it even more of a 3D effect, okay, if you can see that. So I don't know what you guys think. If you like the detailed die cut on there, I'll give you a little glimpse of that, and then we'll take it off, and you guys can let me know if we want it with or without the die cut. So I guess we can go yes or no in the comments. And here it is without, which we do get to see the petals a lot more. So it's a tough call. I think a person could make it either way and it would be amazing. You know what I mean? I really like the added dimension that you get from adding that piece. I think the dimension is really cool. So I don't know. So we'll let you guys decide. I'll let you vote a little bit, and then of course, I'm going to make the final decision because I always do. But I do like your input. Okay. So then I have a little strip of white, 3/8 of an inch. The length doesn't really matter because we're going to cut it down. There is a little celebrate sentiment in the stamp set. And so we are going to stamp celebrate you, I guess is what it says. And we're going to stamp that here in the center of this. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's centered. We're going to trim the ends. But sometimes if you're looking at the center of something, it's easier to get it, totally centered. I think that worked out pretty good. So this little piece we are going to cut basically to the ends of the stamping. So that's why it didn't really matter how long it was. It could be too long and it was fine. And I'm going to add it to this little piece just for some added interest. So I'm just going to take some glue and I'm going to add some little dots here right in the center of these rings and maybe across the top. And I'm thinking that's about how long my piece is. And then I'm going to stick that on there, and we're going to have a few of these loops underneath, just to kind of add a little interest to our sentiment. I'm trying to make sure that there's equal distance there. Okay, I think that's good. And then I'm going to snip this off, same thing, right to the edge of our sentiment piece. And then we have this cute little scallopy bottom. All right, so now we need to add our flower. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to add some glue to this top piece here so that we can get our crumb cake layer added. Okay. Get that on there. There we go. And there is just a skosh that I can see, so I'm going to kind of trim that off because I don't want to see the pink up there. I only want to see the crumb cake. Okay. All right, so we can go ahead and add this piece to the front of the card. And we're centering it, so it's 5.5 inches long, so it's the length of the card base. So we're just going to center it from side to side. This looks like it might be a little longer than my card base, but, or is it that I can't see and so I didn't get it all the way to the top? That's exactly what it is. So, because I'm fairly anal, I am going to cut off this top here, just because I don't want that to be showing that there's no paper up there. And then on the bottom here, I think I can just use my scissors to cut along the edge. I'm kind of particular about paper hanging over the edge. Some people aren't, and that's fine. Okay, so then we have our fun coneflower, and we're going to add that. So I'm just going to throw some glue on that. And we're having it at a fairly sharp angle here. And then I'm going to add my stem. So we'll add some glue to that. And we can kind of lift this up a bit. Get the stem in there in the center. Try to center that. And we'll end up cutting that off as well. And then, let's see, I think the leaf goes like this. So I'm just going to add a little glue to the base of it. And actually, you know what? I need to pull this up because I want it to be, I want my leaf to be under the stem. So let me do this on this one too. And something like that. Okay, and then I'm going to come back here and add a little glue to the base of my stem. There we go. Okay, now we need our butterfly, and so I'm going to put the butterfly up here. So I'm going to put a couple of mini dimensionals right there. Oh, isn't this amazing? This was a scrap. Don't you love being able to use scraps? It makes me very happy to be able to use up my scraps. Yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, did I put those on the wrong side? No, they're on the right side. Okay, and this is just going to kind of hang over the flower. So there we have our cute little butterfly. Oh goodness, I meant to put some ribbon on there. You know what we're going to have to do? We're going to have to use tear and tape, and then we'll have to cut the ribbon. So, whew, let's see how this is going to work. All right, so we're going to try to get the ribbon across. There we go. And I already had, I think I totally screwed this up. Well, we're going to make it work because we always do. You know how it is with me. I always screw things up, but I usually 99 times out of 100 can figure out how to fix it. Okay, so we are going to, this ribbon looks like it is just about the same width as the tear and tape. So we got lucky there. Okay, and we're going to go across, pressing it down. Okay, and now I just need to somehow get in here and trim this off. There was a little bit. I should have put this underneath the paper, as you've probably gathered, but I didn't, and so now I've got this problem. Okay, well, you know what? It is what it is. We're just going to figure it out. And then I'm going to add my little sentiment right here. So I'm just going to throw some glue back here. Actually, I'm going to tap it a little bit because I got way too much. And I'm going to go just under this. There. Okay. I think we did it. It's of course not as polished as I would like it to be, but whoever gets it isn't going to know that I screwed the whole thing up. They're never going to know. Let's cut the end of that stem off so we can get rid of that. And then I'm going to cut just a little bit of this side of the ribbon because it's a little bit too long. There we go. Oh, so pretty. We need some gems. What am I going to get? So these are from the Charming Day collection, and they're probably supposed to be Night of Navy, but we're not going to worry about that. We're just going to use them anyway. And so I am going to add a couple up here, and then I'm going to add one a little, how about at the edge of our sentiment piece? Okay. And then for the inside, I've already got that done. So I went ahead and added a little strip of the same designer series paper. It's a 1/2 inch. I stamped the sentiment inside and another butterfly. And I have to tell you guys, this is me to a T. I'm sorry I missed your special day. Let's extend the celebration. You know, you would think a person who makes cards basically for a living would be able to send off cards to people in a timely fashion. The answer would be no. No, I cannot. You will get your birthday card if you're on my birthday list, but it will most likely be late. And so, hence, this is the perfect sentiment for me. That turned out really good. And I love how using the two-tone cardstock gives that other color underneath, and then adding that dimensional gives it that really nice dimension. So, yay! So that's fun.